Imagine waking up every morning with no house, no farm, no village, and no idea where your next meal will come from. For over 99% of human history, this wasn't unusual. It was simply life. Our ancestors wandered across forests, grasslands, and rivers, hunting animals and gathering wild fruits, nuts, and roots. They had no cities, no kings, no money, no schools. Yet somehow, around 12,000 years ago, everything changed. Humans stopped wandering. They began planting seeds. They started raising animals. They built permanent villages. But why? Why would people abandon a lifestyle they had followed for hundreds of thousands of years? Was farming really a better life? Or did humans accidentally create the greatest trap in history? Today, we're exploring one of the biggest turning points in human evolution, the moment humans became farmers. Before farming, humans were hunter-gatherers. Every day was different. Some days they hunted deer. Other days they caught fish. Sometimes they collected berries, mushrooms, honey, or edible plants. Instead of staying in one place, they followed nature. If animals migrated, they moved. If plants disappeared, they moved. This lifestyle had surprising advantages. Hunter-gatherers often ate a wide variety of foods, making their diets nutritious. Many scientists believe they worked fewer hours than early farmers. There were no fields to weed, no crops to protect, no taxes, no landlords. But there was one huge problem. Food wasn't guaranteed. A failed hunt could mean hunger. A harsh winter could be deadly, and growing populations made life even harder. As more people were born, finding enough wild food became increasingly difficult. Around 11,700 years ago, Earth entered a warmer period after the last ice age. This changed everything. Massive glaciers melted, forests spread, rainfall patterns shifted. Wild grasses began growing in large numbers across regions like the Fertile Crescent in the Middle East. These grasses included the ancestors of modern wheat and barley. People who regularly collected these grains noticed something fascinating. Whenever seeds fell to the ground, new plants grew. At first, they probably didn't think, let's invent agriculture. Instead, they simply observed nature. Perhaps they scattered leftover seeds near their camps. Months later, food appeared exactly where they had stayed. That simple observation may have started one of history's greatest revolutions. The earliest farming wasn't like today's massive farms. It was small, simple, experimental. Families planted tiny patches of land near rivers. They learned which seeds produced better harvests. Over generations, they unknowingly practiced selective breeding. Each year, they saved the largest seeds, the strongest plants, the easiest crops to harvest. Slowly, wild grasses transformed into domesticated wheat. Wild animals also began changing. Instead of constantly hunting goats and sheep, people started keeping young animals alive. Eventually, these animals became accustomed to humans. Generations later, they were domesticated. Dogs had already become human companions thousands of years earlier. Now goats, sheep, pigs, and cattle joined human settlements. Humans had begun controlling food instead of chasing it. If farming required so much hard work, why did nearly every civilization eventually adopt it? Because farming solved one enormous problem. It produced more food from the same piece of land. A hunting group might need hundreds of square kilometers to survive. A farming village could feed many more people from a much smaller area. More food meant more children survived. Families grew larger. Villages expanded. Soon, permanent houses appeared. Storage buildings, granaries, fences, roads. People no longer needed to carry everything they owned. They could build, create, invent. For the first time in history, not everyone needed to search for food. Some people became potters, others became builders, blacksmiths, priests, traders. Farming made specialization possible, and specialization built civilization. But farming wasn't perfect. In fact, many historians argue early farmers lived harder lives than hunter-gatherers. Farmers worked longer hours. They bent over fields for months. They depended on just a few crops. If drought struck, entire harvests failed. People starved. Living close together also created new problems. Waste accumulated, diseases spread quickly. Keeping animals nearby introduced illnesses that eventually infected humans. Some of history's deadliest diseases likely began this way. Farming also changed society. Land became valuable. People started claiming ownership. Property led to wealth. Wealth created inequality. Some families became powerful, others became poor. Eventually, kings emerged. Governments formed. Taxes appeared. Wars were fought over fertile land. The peaceful world of wandering hunter-gatherers slowly transformed into organized civilizations. Agriculture didn't just change society, it changed humans themselves. People who drank milk developed the ability to digest lactose as adults in some populations. Human teeth became smaller, because cooked grains required less chewing. Our immune systems evolved as diseases spread through crowded settlements. Even our daily routines changed. Instead of following migrating animals, people followed planting seasons. The calendar became essential. Watching the stars helped determine when to plant crops. Astronomy, mathematics, writing, all developed partly because farming demanded organization. Without agriculture, there would be no cities, no pyramids, no empires, no modern countries. Nearly everything around us began with the first planted seed. So, why did humans start farming? Not because they suddenly became smarter, not because farming was easier. The climate warmed, populations increased, wild food became less reliable, people experimented with nature. One successful harvest led to another. Over thousands of years, small experiments transformed into agriculture. Agriculture transformed villages into cities, cities became civilizations, and civilizations built the modern world. The food on your table today, the house you live in, the smartphone in your hand, every one of them traces its story back to those first ancient farmers who planted seeds over 10,000 years ago. One simple decision changed the destiny of humanity forever.